Well, hello there. Hopefully this is working. Is anybody around right now? Getting a little bit of a feedback. I gotta go check something on the stream. Hang on. I think that should do it. Right, so day 2 of building the Leapfrog filter. Yeah, last night I kind of got to a point. I finished up the first board, and yeah, I realized that it was just going to take too long to do the whole module, and there's nothing worse when you're making a board like this than working longer than you should. There's no good reason to keep going if you're feeling tired at all. And I was feeling a little overwhelmed doing a live stream. It's not really something I've ever done before, so yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to think about, and so I decided there's no point in trying to just keep going, so I'm doing it again, and so I'll move on. I think that the second and third boards should go a little bit easier. Not that there's a whole lot less parts or anything, but I think I just kind of understand how this goes together a little better now. Still gonna have to look at the instructions a lot, and the instructions are still really dense, but I'll deal with it. And yeah, so where I was at last night, I had kind of gotten to a point where I put in all of these trim pots, and there was a note in the instructions about calibrating the trim pots before soldering them. So I went ahead and outside of filming, calibrated all of these. So you have to measure the resistance between the main rail, and then there's like these all have like a little set screw, so that screw has like a wiper, and that sets the variable resistance. And so you just had to measure, if it was a 10K resistor, you needed to get the set screw so that the third leg, the resistance between a leg here and a leg here would be 10K, and there's a third leg, and so the resistance to the third leg needed to be 5K, so 50%. So I've done that. Now I just need to solder those all in, and then I can move on with the rest of this project. This stream is a little bit stressful in a different way today because my daughter is on the couch not very far away from me doing a classic toddler thing where she doesn't want to go to bed, and I can't really keep pushing back the clock, so it's time to start the stream, and she's still up, so she's being good right now. I hope that continues. Yeah, I started doing this project, music recording and stuff, pretty much when I found out that my wife was pregnant. It's like I don't know how much of a correlation it was, but knowing that I was going to be spending a lot more time at home for a few years raising a young kid, I figured I needed a space here where I could keep myself creatively involved in something. And that's why I started downloading some recording software and slowly but surely going down the rabbit hole that has led to me now live streaming a synth DIY build, which is an unlikely set of circumstances, but that's where we are. I've now fully embraced the nerdier aspects of making music, while at the same time really enjoying the musical aspects of it. And I've learned a ton over the last few years. Maybe you can hear it in the back, I don't know. So yeah, I'm assuming, I don't know if whoever's in this stream was here last night, but when you're soldering, the basics of it are that, I mean, really, soldering in itself isn't hard. That was the key question I had when I started making these Eurorack modules, and the thing that kind of held me back for a long time was I just assumed that this would be really difficult, but it's really not. So really what you're doing is you're attaching two different pieces of metal to make an electrical connection in a circuit, and to do that you need both of those pieces of metal to become hot, and then you need to add solder to those at that same heat, let it all heat up together, and then cool off. Hey, Avi.
My closet fell off.
Your what? The closet fell over?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's okay, Avi. Just go to sleep, okay? Yeah, so to solder the two pieces of metal together, you heat both up, like the leg of a component and the pad on the board that it's connecting to. Oh my gosh, this isn't gonna work, is it? Avi, please go to bed. Ay, ay, ay. So yeah, you touch the soldering iron to the leg of the component and to the pad. Let those heat up for a minute, and then add in your solder wire. And then you take the solder wire away once it's kind of like, once it melts, it flows onto the pad and the leg. And you take the solder wire away first, and then a moment later you can kind of see the solder settle in. And then you can take the soldering iron away. And yeah, once you get the flow of it, it goes quick, pretty easy to do. And personally, I find it really relaxing. So this track that's playing right now, by the way, is one of my unreleased tracks. I'm working on a new album, so I figure with these live streams I'm sneaking in some previews. Last night I played some rare demos from that old band that nobody ever heard. But yeah, so I'm working on a new album. Planning on doing a lot more vocal stuff on this album. And this is one of the tracks. Story with this track was I initially made the music for it a while back for Synthstrom, one of the Synthstrom live festivals, and it kind of just I didn't think about it much for about a year, and then I met up with a dude who owns a record label, and he was interested in putting out some of my stuff, and I was looking at various tracks that I had finished already, and then this one came up, and he really liked it, so I re-recorded it and worked on it a bit, and got it to the point basically where he was really happy with the track. And that's right when I got the inspiration to write a bunch of lyrics for it, which I did. And then I sang them and I sent him that version, and he was really struggling because it really, I mean, his label's more of a pure techno label, so he didn't really know what to do with a vocal track. And yeah, the long story short, just ended up that this track didn't work for his label, so kind of mutually decided that I didn't want to compromise what I wanted to do with the song. And like I didn't want him to do something with his label that he wasn't feeling fully confident about either. So I decided to pull back from that, and I'm just going to release it myself with the label that I'm starting with my buddy Brian, which is cool. So there's like, I don't know, right now 4 or 5 songs done with lyrics, and a few more instrumentals that may get lyrics. We'll see. But yeah, I hope you like this song. Probably hear my daughter spinning around on my office chair right now, which she knows she's not supposed to do. Yeah, so one of the things that you should always do when you're soldering is just check all your connections. I see a couple of these that I just did that don't look quite right. So a solder joint should have kind of like a conical shape coming out of the board, where the wire sticks up and the board is flat. The solder typically kind of flows up onto that wire that way, and if you instead have your solder sitting in a big bubble, particularly a bubble where it kind of goes narrower at the side where the board is, that's probably not a good joint. So then you just fix those by reapplying heat, and you reflow it and let the solder settle in a little bit better. Just want to make sure that these are all good. My nicely calibrated trim pots, and I screw up a solder joint, would be typical, probably. Right on. So that's that for that board, and now we can move on. Bigger and better things. Right on. So trying to set up my computer so I can see the chat if anyone feels like chatting. I feel like chatting, but no pressure. Yeah, so board 2, we'll grab that one. 2, 3, and I think again we just start by sticking a bunch of resistors on here. So I'll just work my way through this board looking at the resistors. I'm going to try to rely a little bit more on the printing on the board this time around rather than the instructions. I read through the instructions a bit, so I'm not totally unfamiliar with them. But yeah, trying to read the instructions while doing this, particularly on a live stream, is a little bit tough. That's fine. The board's labeled pretty well, so it should be okay. And this is where my reading glasses will help again. Right. So first one I see is the 1M. Just this guy. I forgot. I'm concurrently supposed to be recording a YouTube video, so here we are, next board, and I will record that. Eventually this whole thing's going to be like a nice, like this has already been 2-hour live stream last night, probably at least that tonight, and then eventually I'm going to edit all of that down to like a 5-minute video, so that's my normal process. I think I mentioned before how much memory it takes up to get all this footage out. I have like a 6 terabyte drive that I have to offload all the footage to. And yeah, it's kind of gets to be a bit of a nightmare to manage all of the footage when I'm doing these videos. Like the music stuff, that's pretty straightforward, you know. I just film for 5-10 minutes and then I start editing. But these DIY videos have been I mean, really fun, but it's just like kind of logistically a bit of a challenge to try to get it done. And then to try to edit such long amounts of footage down to something watchable, which I don't know why anybody is actually here, because this is like watching paint dry, but yeah, to try to get that down to like a nice edited YouTube video is a lot of work. I have a huge amount of respect for the people that do this on a more consistent level than I do. Because I just know, especially the people with kids, man. Not to brag, but raising a kid and working a day job and putting stuff on YouTube is kind of a lot. So I really didn't mean to brag about that. I just meant there's people that are way more consistent in what they're doing that I know have kids, and I just can't imagine how they can keep up with it. I did a really bad job of bending this one. I'll fix it. Maybe. Go to sleep, okay? I should have checked first to make sure that this goes on this board, this 1K resistor. There's not nearly as many resistors on this board, which is cool. This one might go on the other board. So since I just pulled the label off of it, I'm going to make sure that I put it in the right spot. So that's cool. What else we got? 4.3K resistor. Yeah, so domestic scene's been a really, really good outlet for me since my daughter was born. I think most people get into music making. I mean, I was making music a long time ago, but I got back into it when my daughter was born because I needed something to hold on to a sense of, autonomy, like, well, I don't know, youth, whatever that is. And I mean that not in a bad way. Like, I know I just wanted to hold on to a bit of myself, and this, when it came down to it, seemed to be the bit that I needed to hold on to the most. Watch out where you breathe. This song is about my daughter and the pandemic. Wonder what you'll remember when I think this is 140K. Did I hold you back, and will you understand? Yeah, this is another of the unreleased songs off the new album. I wrote the lyrics and recorded this like all in one go the day that I got my second vaccine shot, right when I started feeling a little bit ill. So I was in a weird mood. Someday before we forget how growing up was supposed to be. Short and sweet, this song. Baby, sleep now, okay? She's gotten into a habit lately of when she doesn't want to go to bed, insisting that I come in the office and that she stays on the couch in the office. And it usually works. It takes a while for her to fall asleep, but it usually works. I think this was 2.4K. You can tell I'm a little distracted, talking, listening to, trying to figure out what my daughter's doing by listening to her, and making a Eurorack module. So yeah, this is 2.4K, see that spot. And I can confirm that working just by referencing the board rather than the instructions is a lot faster. I'm glad I'm doing it this way. $5.6K. One of these is gotta be that. There. How many are on this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. There might be a sixth one on here. We'll find process of elimination when I go through here, but it might be on the other board, that sixth resistor. You okay, Evie? Yeah, so I'm wondering what other stories I can tell here. Story of this record label? What the hell's going on with that? I think a lot of people. Yeah, Evie? Sleep, please, Evie. My daughter speaks like this weird mix of English and German. It's probably more German than English, I think. I'm not entirely sure that anyone but my wife and I, and then like our friends who also have kind of like like bilingual families or American expats with kids in German schools. I think all of our kids kind of have like a similar way of speaking. We can generally understand each other's kids, but I don't think very many other people can. Even my wife's parents and my mom, I'm worried we're going back to visit in a few weeks. And yeah, I'm interested to see how her grandparents do understanding what she's saying. 'Cause it's, yeah, like I said, it's a really unique mix of languages. I hope that's an advantage to her in life. I think it will be. In Germany, a lot of people speak English, and it's a skill that's pretty sought after in a lot of international businesses. Not that I'm really thinking about business for her yet, but the trend certainly is that more and more people are speaking English on a regular basis, which I have mixed feelings about, to be honest. I can certainly see a bit of hesitation sometimes with people in Germany to accept that the language is getting somewhat swallowed up by English, particularly in the workplace. And people that have had long successful careers that don't necessarily speak English suddenly start losing a little bit of ground, maybe at their jobs or something, or just like in a more general sense, like this kind of sense of kind of like cultural stuff, when the language in your country starts being influenced, when the slang starts picking up a lot of influence from another language, are you gaining something or losing something? And I'm sympathetic to that idea when I hear people, I never heard anybody like really, really say that, but I kind of pick that up from people sometimes. And I get it. Unfortunately, my German's not that great because I just don't use it. I live in a really multicultural city. There's a big university here. There's a lot of tourists, and where I'm living there's a lot of hospitality, so like everybody working in hospitality pretty much needs to be able to speak English, because people coming from all over the world tend to default to English if they don't know the local language. It becomes a bit of a common language, and so everybody, if I go out over the course of the last couple of years, obviously not so much in the last year, but if I go out, you know, I'm typically speaking English because that's what people know. I speak English, so they switch to it. And at work, I'm speaking exclusively English because I work in a international team. Like, my colleagues are mostly in London, and yeah, at home I speak English. So while my German is vastly improved from the complete lack of German skills that I had when I moved to Germany, it's still taken a while, and I'm not as far along as I was hoping I would be. Maybe don't press those buttons. She just found my patch bay, which is making me nervous. Who knows what's going to end up coming through this stream. Avi, that's not a toy, okay? Check. Did I? Okay. I think I bypassed the compressor. Maybe I didn't. Hopefully you can still hear me. But she twisted something, so I have to go check. Oh man, this is like the most challenging circumstance to do a live stream ever, right? Something technical and complicated combined with watching a kid. What? What fell down? Your puzzle? Oh! Your dog. Okay. I'll get it for you. Sorry. Yeah. So, meaning to talk about the record label. The record label, I'm starting with my friend Brian, and he's another American expat living here in Heidelberg, and he and I don't know, we've wanted to do something together for a while, and his interest in audio production has been growing. He plays music too, but like he's been getting more into the production side of it. And we just started talking. He's also got a background a bit in marketing. He used to work for Vice, things like this, and I'm bringing some skills to it too, and yeah, we decided that this was a thing finally that we do together creatively. So the label's going to be called Born Abroad, kind of thematically focusing a bit on kind of like this, like expats really, musicians that are expats to begin with, and a bit of like kind of cross-cultural stuff. Maybe that's sort of the theme that we're going for, but the projects that we're working on right now are leaning a little bit more folk than what I do. I'm the outlier doing electronic music, but we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty excited about it. Alright, so those resistors are in. I'm thinking it might not be a bad idea just to clean up my workstation to just try to make sure that I get all the resistors in this board too. Just keep at it, and then I can get all of these, and get all of this cleared up. Actually, before I do that, I know the next thing I need to do is put these ceramic bead capacitors on here. Because I did read the instructions. I think how many... I'm gonna look at the bill of materials to see how many I need for this. Radial aluminum electrolytic 10 microfarad. Is that a microfarad? I think so. So I need... There's more than 2, right? 1, 2, yeah. Which one am I on? Oh, no, these are the 0.1. 17 of them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 2 of these go to the other board. Yeah, so the record label is pretty cool. I think, like I said, probably start with a reissue of my last album along with putting out my new album. Brian's working on something. We got another friend, Nate, who's got some really, really good songs. Pretty much in the can. A few other people we've been talking to. Compilation possibly that I'm working on, and the future's bright because we don't have high expectations. We have like high motivation, but our measure of success is not like, you know, purely financial. So we're willing to let it grow and put a lot of work into it. For what it's worth. It's definitely one of those don't quit your day job sorts of endeavors. Because making money with music is tough. Even if you make money, like making enough money to offset all of the money that you're spending on equipment, that's a whole other story. That's a big reason that I started doing DIY Eurorack stuff, because the Eurorack system can cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And then that's just one piece, you need all sorts of other stuff too. Or you can just get an acoustic guitar. I suppose that's a reasonable choice. whatever. You don't make music for money. You do it. I mean, there's some people that do, but it's rarely why anybody starts making music. I think that's not really, for most musicians, a big motivating factor. Make music because it's the thing that you feel like you have to do. And I'm certainly feeling that. This track that's playing right now, by the way, this was like a kind of live reimagining of a track that came out on the recent Synthstrom compilation Resonance, which is like full of really good tracks by other musicians that I really respect. So I'm really honored that they asked me to be involved. And if you have a chance, you should check out that compilation because the other musicians are definitely worth giving a listen to. It kind of bounces around some different styles a bit, but yeah, all in all, definitely a cool mix. This track that's playing right now is off my first EP. It's called 0300, or 3 in the morning. A view from the bridge. There's a bridge near my house in Heidelberg that it's like this old stone bridge, and there's like a guard tower at the end of it. Super classic European, beautiful bridge. And there's like this particular feeling that you get when you're walking across it at night, like after the bars have closed, because there's a radio tower, cell phone tower or something, up on the hill on the south side of the old city. And so it's just quiet up and down this valley, and you're in the middle of this like picturesque stone bridge, and there's just like this blinking red light off in the distance. Before Avia was born, it used to be one of my favorite things to do. Take a beer out at night and just go out to that bridge. Just look over the city. If you look up the river from the bridge, there's a monastery on the other side of the river, on a hill. Like a valley beyond that. It's really gorgeous. And then looking the other way, on a clear day, you can kind of see Mannheim off in the distance, and that is not as pretty. But Mannheim's a cool town. Kind of like the local slang for Mannheim is monum. There's like a particular dialectical drawl in Mannheimer speak. That's one of the crazy things about German. I don't know if you know that, but there's like so many dialects. Like each, I mean, you can go from one town to another, and like there'll be slight changes in the grammar. Or, just like completely different words for things. And that was like one of the biggest challenges for me when I started learning German. Was oftentimes I just thought I didn't understand something because my German was bad. And it took me around a year to start to hear that, like, actually it's not that I don't understand, it's not that my German's bad per se, it's just that, like, whoever I'm talking to is speaking essentially a different language sometimes. But now that I can hear that, it really helps. Because then I can start to hear through it. And at least in the region that I'm in Baden-Württemberg, I can understand most stuff. It's me speaking German, that's what's really holding me back. Because I have a hard time really, like, expressing myself in German. But I generally know what people are saying to me. So I'll get by. Ooh, there must be one missing, right? There's still one on my pad here. Yep, found it. Good. Evie, go to sleep, please. Right on. Back to soldering a bunch of legs. This is the fun part. And this is where I tend to just forget to keep talking about random stuff because I just get into the flow. Speaking about soldering, another thing to know if you haven't been doing it long and you want to start, sometimes, I know some people have mentioned, some people that I vaguely know online have mentioned, like, holding the soldering iron on for a long time, worrying that they're gonna break something, like overheat something or burn something. You can actually leave the soldering iron on, longer than you think, without usually doing too much harm. There's some components are a little bit sensitive to that, but for the most part, you'd really have to be using a hot iron and sticking it on there for a long time to do any damage. And sometimes you actually do need to hold it on there for quite a while, because some of the components, particularly like things with like larger pins or legs, and things that are maybe like connected into a more like beefy ground, where there's a lot more metal, sucking the heat away from the joint, you really have to let those heat up a bit longer. But really, for any beginners that wanted to start doing soldering, it's not that hard once you do it. I think the best way to learn how to solder is to do, instead of doing like a really small kit, doing a sort of, bigger, medium-sized kit that doesn't have many complicated parts, just has a lot. So like doing a lot of resistors and capacitors will pretty much, by the time you get through that on a medium-sized kit, like something about this size, like a board this size, by the time you get through the resistors and capacitors on that, you'll have gotten plenty of chance to get the feel down for how solder flows. And then you can just slowly build from there. Start putting on some things like just like these ICs, the integrated circuits that are surface mount but have like they're not tiny. That's a good way to get kind of started with a more complicated style of soldering. And a good example of what those look like is the Buffaco Escala bus. All of the power headers on that power bus have they kind of like slide onto pads, like the pins on those power headers slide on either side of the board onto a set of pads, and then you're doing a surface mounted joint on each of those pins. But it's power header size, so it's not like microscopic like a lot of surface mount stuff is. And I think it's a really good project if you want to get a little bit of practice with that style of soldering. So you start to see how the flux will pull the solder across the pads and suck it into the space around the pin and make the connection for you. It's interesting that Avi seems to understand that she can't make too much noise and she can't come over here. But she's not going to bed. She's playing with a little dog and exploring the insides of a cajon that I have over there that I wanted to sample. Oh man, I didn't see the chats. Mellow Kit made a joke, domestic scene life, and he's not wrong. Mellow Kit's a really cool dude. We've been buddies on YouTube and in various forums online. You know, he put out an album recently and he's been releasing a ton of jams, which makes me think he's probably working on another album. He's in France. I think maybe not terribly far from me. So maybe we'll hook up and play a show someday. Hope so. Avi. Can you go back on the couch and go to sleep? What time is it? 10? Avi, can you put the drum down, please? Go to sleep. I was told she didn't take a nap today either, and weirdly, the days that she doesn't take a nap are usually the days where it's really hard for her to go to sleep. So means tomorrow would have been perfect for doing a live stream. Right on. So we'll do the resistors, capacitors on this other board, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. Slowly but surely getting there. Six. $670K, where are you? That's not 670, is it? 680, I think, but let's not guess. Yeah. Like, these are labeled well, but it's like the handwriting's a little bit hard to read sometimes because these the little strip of paper that holds them together, where it's just single resistors, there's not a lot of room to write, so whoever packed this kit was trying to write the numbers into a really tiny space, and the pen was bleeding a little bit, so that's why I'm having trouble reading a few of the numbers. Sleeps time, maybe. So logic dictates that all of these resistors have a spot on this board, I would think. So 3.3. Let's see if I'm proven to be correct about that. A lot of times if Evie stays up like this, I just let her watch Peppa Pig or something on my computer and she conks right out. But I'm using my computer to stream this to whoever's watching me right now. 27K. Thanks, Millakit. That's pretty much why I build these things. Like, it's a really hypnotic, relaxing activity. It's like meditation is how I usually think of it. Like, I've had days where I was stressed out at work, and so I just picked up one of these boards and started soldering as a way to relax. I forgot what that value was. 27K. Alright. Yeah, I hope so too, Melikit. I think it'll happen. Where are you at, by the way? Heidelberg's about an hour away from the border. Kind of maybe a little bit further away from Strasbourg. Hour and a half maybe to Strasbourg. $150K. Okay. 39K. Luckily, this is going a lot faster than it did yesterday. Even though it probably doesn't look like it. I usually have a trick where I leave the I leave the thing that has the resistance on the mat until I've placed it, but because I'm talking so much, I'm kind of not fully thinking it through, so I keep almost forgetting what I'm doing. So reminding myself to leave that on the mat so I can look back and say, oh yeah, it was a 22K that I'm looking for. There it is. And then I gotta remember, once I've placed that resistor, to get rid of the piece of paper that has the number on it. Okay, I know that it's on this board somewhere, this 68 kilo ohm resistor, but I don't see where it goes. 68K. So this is the small space demos, no band. So I played the album that we released on this stream that I did yesterday. I got my first ever copyright strikes on YouTube for playing something that I helped record and write. But I get it, because I didn't upload it to the distributor. Our old producer in San Francisco, Costa, has a distribution company. So he did it, and I'm sure he did not think to put my YouTube channel on the whitelist. So now I cannot monetize yesterday's stream. Not that I can monetize anything, because I doubt I'll ever get that. Maybe I will, who knows, but yeah, it's funny. First ever copyright strike for something that I own 14% of. $240K. Maybe that's why I couldn't find it. There it is. Yeah, so obviously, even though I got a copyright strike on that album yesterday, everything that I'm playing in the stream is my own music. One way or another, which is kind of cool. I couldn't believe it when I put this playlist together. It's like, it was, including that album, it was over 3 hours long, which I And that was not even everything. I didn't know I had recorded 3 hours of music. 91, okay. There's one of them. Alright. Yep. 291k resistors on this board. And we're getting close. I'm just realizing now that there's also some small diodes that need to go on this board, which probably should have gone on before the resistors. But the resistors are low profile enough that I think I'll be fine. Sometimes you can just do them all at once. There it is. All right. So, 2 of these. Really, I'm almost done with the resistors, which is a great feeling. Once you get through all of these small parts, the boards really start flying. Of course, just through the thing in there. And once they start coming together, like it really starts looking like something quick. So I'm excited for that. Start stacking the boards into a big sandwich and putting the faceplate on. Suddenly it really looks like a working module. And I'm really excited to get this one working because yeah, it's a really unique filter. Been looking at it a bit more. And it's got a really cool sound because of its super steep drop-off curve. I've not heard anything quite like it. So I'll end up doing a demo of this once I've done this build. So I'll make a condensed build video for Exploding Shed and probably use it in some jams and then make a demo feature thing. So check that out when it comes out. 4.7, yes. Just lost my daughter. I think she went to use the bathroom. Which she's been potty training, and the first time she ever asked me to use the toilet was on a road trip, like the worst possible time. And then every half hour after that, she wanted me to stop so she could use a toilet. And I'm proud of her, but it wish she would have picked a more convenient time. If she doesn't come back in the next few minutes, I'm probably gonna have to go look for her. There's nothing she could get into that would hurt her, but I'd prefer not to just let her roam around by herself. Smell okay. You say you quit Europe? Where would you go? South? Back here. I'm so close to getting all these resistors on, but I've been bending the legs a bit just so they don't fall out. The back of the board's just getting a little bit messy at this point. So I'm gonna keep going because I'd rather just get all these resistors on and then solder it, but it's a bit of a mess, and I would like to, ideally I would clean that up, make it a bit easier to get to all the joints to solder them. You can sometimes solder from the top of the board. It's a bit cleaner on the top, particularly if you have a little clamp to hold the board up. You can do that. Which would be ideal with all of these bent over legs in the back of this one. Yay, almost there. One last resistor. Okay. All right. Yes. Now cycle continues. Place parts, solder them in place, move on to the next part. So the mystery of where my daughter went. She did go to the bathroom. I can hear her in there struggling with the toilet seat. Which is about the last thing I would expect myself to be talking about in a live stream, to be honest. So the dude that played this piano part, a guy named Mark Mulder, usually he played bass in this band, but he was a really great piano player. Being really intimidated by this part because of the time signature of it. I wasn't quite sure if I'd be able to get the guitar part for it. Hey Davey, how'd it go? Okay, I'll go get you more milk in a minute, okay? What'd you say? Yeah, but you gotta wait a minute, okay? And then you're gonna go to sleep? Okay. So one thing about soldering when you got a lot of legs sticking out of a board like this is that not only do they sometimes like trying to move around them so that you don't get poked in the hand. That's not the only hazard. Like the one that you're heating up actually does get hot. So if you brush your hand against the end of that leg, you can give yourself a small burn. Hey kiddo. What? Really? Yeah. Yeah, I'm wearing glasses. Yeah. They're not glasses? Can you go lay down the couch, Evie? Okay, I think, what time is it? 10:30? think Avi's still up. She's asking for milk. So, I'm gonna keep building this board, but I think I'm gonna probably take a break from streaming it so that I can take care of her. She needs some attention, and she needs some sleep. So once I get through these resistors, I will sign off for the night. But this has been really fun. I appreciate you hanging around, Mellow Kit, and anyone else that's been hanging around. Like this, soldering these kits is, it's really quiet, relaxing part of my life. It's cool to just like hang out in the studio, feel like I'm hanging out with somebody. Because I'm on this stream, which is nice, because everybody's been in some form of social what's the right word that I'm looking for? Missing people. So it's a nice perk of doing this stream. It's just sharing my space with some people, and yeah, it's cool hanging out. So Avi's patiently holding her dog and waiting for some milk, so I'm gonna just call it a night. Once I get her to sleep, I'll probably finish this up for the regular YouTube video, but I think it's about time to close down the stream, and I'll catch you. I'm totally gonna do more streams. I'm hoping soon, rather than doing such slow work on a video stream, I'm probably gonna start moving in towards playing music, doing some live music stuff, because I'd like to start playing shows, and I think that would be really good practice for me. Kind of like replicate the pressure of being on stage with doing a stream, because ordinarily I can just stop whenever I make a mistake, and I need to break that habit. So yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. And so if I do more of these, that'll be cool, and if I do some music streaming soon, I'll check you there. And yeah, take care.